Welcome everybody to the Money Time Podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Hernandez, and today we have a dynamic duo couple from Orange County, California, Nate and Taylor Looney. You guys, Nate and Taylor Looney, they flip luxury houses in Orange County. They own a tremendous amount of storage units throughout the United States. They are making huge waves in the social media world, and they are on a mission to now create a new fund, a real estate fund, and we are really excited to interview them. You guys, get a pen, get a piece of paper. You're probably going to want to watch this 2 or 3 times. Let's go. Please introduce yourselves, guys.
Well, I'm Taylor Looney.
And I'm Nate Looney.
Yeah.
And we work together, house flipping, developing commercial real estate, and just doing real estate investing in general. We do, we have three rental properties in Orange County, California. We do 5 to 6 house flip projects in $1 million market here in Orange County. And we develop massive self-storage facilities, climate controlled, 100,000 square foot plus buildings around the country.
That is incredible. And I can't wait to get into all of that. But what's really cool, guys, and what you're going to enjoy off of this episode is Taylor and Nate are in one of the most competitive markets in, I want to say, the United States, right? You guys had a incredible story on how you got to where you're at. And nonetheless, you're a power couple that work together in this industry and you haven't cut each other's heads off yet. Like, how incredible is that?
It's incredible. It's a lot of work.
We try not to.
Yeah, we try not to.
So I want to go back to the beginning. How did you guys get to meet? I would like to start there. Like, how did you guys meet, and how did Taylor and Nate come to where we are today?
I love it.
It's a good story.
It's a good story. Well, we technically met through Tinder.
Oh, I love it.
So it's kind of a weird story. We both went to USC. Nate graduated, and I was in a sorority, and I actually saw this handsome man walk into our sorority house, and I said, "Oh, whose brother is that?" Come to find out, it was a sorority sister's boyfriend. So at that point, I said, "All right, never mind." And fast forward, I started dating someone for a couple of years. Nate says he saw me at a formal and fell in love with me. Who knows?
Truth.
Truth. And then so we actually lived across the. So fast forward a couple of years. I stopped dating my person. He stopped dating his person. And I downloaded Tinder. And I was like, that's the guy that walked in. I swiped and we connected. And then I deleted it, dated someone else. And then I downloaded it again. And I saw the guy again and I swiped. And I'm like, okay, now this is weird. Double. And I'm like, all right. So I actually reached out to him. And I said, hey, what's going on? So
I didn't want to be the one to reach out first. And since I had dated her sorority sister, but we matched twice, finally convinced her to go out on a date with me. We went
it
bowling,
took a couple months.
Which for all you single guys out there, bowling is the best first date.
No.
She disagrees, but here we are married.
I know.
Because you go to dinner.
There's something about it.
You go to dinner and you sit there and you run out of things to say and it gets awkward. If you go to one of these bowling places that you get drinks and food served and everything, you can go up and throw the bowling ball when you don't know what to say. You can get a beer.
Buy some time.
It avoids the awkwardness. I'm telling you.
I'm an extrovert. He's an introvert.
I love it.
I had no idea like he was that introverted. And I'm like, well, we've been bowling and like we're competitive. And so it was a lot of fun. So
That is awesome.
how'd it go? And then so we lived across the street from each other. Didn't know about it. We were in Newport Beach. He had a condo in Newport Beach and I was in the apartment complex. Legitimately, you can see each other's house.
No way.
And then come to find out, we actually went to the same middle school and elementary school.
Wow.
So, yeah. And then I ended up being a teacher. Fast forward. And then I ended up being a teacher and
At
at that same school. So,
We
just a little weird. That's
We kind of followed each other our entire lives and had no idea.
I had no idea.
And then we
No
found
idea.
each other, crazy, coming back to both live in Newport. We both had no connection to Newport, but that's where we ended up.
yeah.
And you happen to be right by each other.
Right by
Right
each
by each
other.
other.
Close enough to match on Tinder.
See each other twice on Tinder.
Yeah.
That is an awesome story. I love that.
Yeah. And our parents and our family live all 5 minutes away from
Yep.
each other. So we're very lucky and blessed to be in Orange County.
Right.
So
That is awesome. You guys live now in
Dana
Point.
Dana Point. I love it. I love it. You guys, they just did a meetup yesterday.
Yesterday.
Real estate meetup.
Yeah.
So make sure you guys are following the Looneys on Instagram
Yeah.
because they do meetups in Orange County. And yesterday looked like a
It was a
great
blast.
turnout.
Yeah, we went to a local brewery and we had a blast.
I love it. So let's go back. So you guys, you meet And how did you get into real estate? Because I know you guys have 2 kids too. So catch us up on that story and some cliff notes.
Yeah. So how did we? Okay. So yeah, go for it.
So I'd say we started dating. Eventually, she moves in with me in our condo in Newport with our roommate. So that was kind of our first venture in real estate together. Was house hacking together. So I had a 2-bedroom condo. I lived in one room. Roommate lived in the other. She moved in with me. We kept him there. You know, he pays most of the mortgage, and we actually got married. She got pregnant. We went up to a month before having a baby, all living with a roommate, just to
it was amazing.
Save on the mortgage
it was
costs,
perfect.
You know?
Having another husband, I highly recommend it. Honestly, he'd come in. Are you craving anything? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, can we? I asked him. I'm like, what about we bring the baby here? And I asked the roommate, and he's like, yeah, sure, that's fine. And then I was like, no, never mind. This is weird. This is getting a little too much.
We thought about it hard.
We thought about it because, I mean, our mortgage is getting paid. It's amazing. Yeah. And then, so I was a teacher. When I first started dating him, I was getting my master's at USC. And then I became a teacher, loved teaching. Nate was in software development. And then what happened? Oh, I made him go to the library. I was like, let's go to the library because I'm kind of a geek.
I don't go to the library. It's not a thing that I do.
And I said, just pick a book, anything that interests you. And he went into the real estate section and grabbed a house flipping book.
Book on flipping houses. I had no idea those existed. I even looking back, I mean, it's kind of funny that I found a house flipping book at the library of all places. It's something I would never do, go to the library.
When there wasn't many house flipping books.
And there wasn't a lot back then. It was by...
Not even social media. Like social house flipping wasn't really a thing. Like sometimes on HGTV, this was in 2015. So like you might have had a little flip or flop or something like that, but we didn't really watch HGTV.
Yeah, I think the guy who wrote the book is Paul, I don't want to butcher the name, starts with an S. But I think he may have had something to do with a show back then, like Flip This House or something. I never really watched it. But anyways, picked up that book. I remember reading it on vacation at
It was a house flipping Bible. That's what it was called. The house flipping Bible?
Something like that. The rehab house flipping Bible, something like that. Okay. And I was reading it on vacation in Florida. We were at her cousin's wedding. And I'm sitting there and one of her family members comes by and goes, oh, you're going to become a house flipper? And I'm like, I guess. I don't know. But I read this book. It's super motivating. Learned about flipping. And then we get back from that. And my dad comes to me and says, hey, my dad's in commercial real estate. He's been doing commercial real estate for over 30 years. Has a lot of connections. So he's like, hey, I had this agent come to me, brought me this house that's off market, and asked if I wanted to flip it. It's not really my thing, but is that something you'd want to do? I'm like, funny enough, I've been reading this book about house flipping, and I would absolutely love to do that. So we worked with the agent. It was kind of a pocket listing. We got the deal done. We got the deal done with a little guidance from my dad. My dad flipped houses way back in the day before he was doing commercial real estate. Right. Got the deal under contract, and we went through that deal. Took us maybe 4 months or so. Of course, a little contractor drama, but went through it relatively unscathed, and we made $100,000 on our first deal.
That is awesome.
Home run. You know, at the time.
This is you guys together.
So I was actually partnered with my sister on this first deal. Okay. And Taylor was a teacher and I was a software developer. So we were all doing it on the side. So my sister and I were doing it together. And we partnered on a few deals after that. But then we got...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, as a teacher, I was going in on weekends and nights and peeling, wallpaper. Yeah. I just saw it as, hey, let's do this. Because he also was a software developer and I was a technical recruiter before I was a teacher. And I knew that there was going to be a ceiling. Right. Like in those jobs, you're going to hit a ceiling. And it's just weird how people don't. I just knew what the ceiling was. And I told Nate, I'm like, hey, you're also working hourly, right? You'll never be able to leave this job. Or what do you want in your future? Like we just had these discussions and I told him about that cap. And I think that's like he really was thinking, he's like, you're kind of right. And he wasn't as motivated. He didn't love it as much. Like he wasn't very passionate about it. Yeah. I mean, I liked it because like during the day, he would just figure out what dates to take me on. Like,
that's true. See, I planned the best dates back then because all I was doing was planning vacations, planning dates.
You had
I was supposed to be programming, sitting in front of my computer. Yeah. But so anyways, that first house flip, I partnered with my sister on it. And it was really my sister and I. And then Taylor was just always there contributing, getting in, doing the demo with me, peeling wallpaper. And so we didn't really get into it like together at the same time, be like, okay, we're going to do this together.
Because we were dating though too. We weren't.
But that's kind of how I knew she was a keeper.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. We weren't even married at the time. So we were doing this and she was just jumping, just constantly, putting in the work, putting in more work than me probably, I think.
Without even really knowing what you were doing.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
We did all the demo.
My
on the
dad
first
did
house.
the demo.
Your dad came in and was like tearing down tile, and he had a cough for like 2 weeks ever because he was inhaling whatever was ever in that house. Which
we were going.
Knowing what we know now, we wouldn't have asked him to do that.
Yeah, honestly, I think I was going so hard because I wanted an engagement ring, and I'm like, if he makes money, he will give me an engagement ring. You want to know what he bought? He bought air conditioning for his place, a condo, and I was like, I don't know. I was about to give him ultimatum. But his dad did say, this will never be this easy again.
Yeah, he told me that. This is not how it always goes. Right? I promise you. He was absolutely right. So let's talk about our second flip. So this first flip kind of fell into our lap a little bit. I didn't know how to find deals. Like I read about stuff about how to find deals in that book, but I had never done anything to find deals.
Right.
So now I got to find another deal and I'm not really doing anything. And then this guy sends me an email. Somehow we came across a wholesaler. I didn't even know what a wholesaler was at the time.
Right.
But this guy had a property that he had under contract that he wanted me to buy from him in Palm Springs. And I was like, well, it's a deal. I don't know how to find deals. And
let's do it.
Here's another deal. Like, okay, how do I do it in Palm Springs? In Palm Springs. I'm like, okay, well, Palm Springs is 2-hour drive away. I don't know any contractors out there. But it turns out this guy had done some flips. He told me he had done some flips out there previously, and he had a lot of project management experience. And he'd be willing to sign on as our project manager for a percent of the deal, for like 10% of the deal. He was going to manage it all for us. So, easy peasy, right?
I know where this is going.
He set us up with a architect to put together plans for a house. The first job we did, we pulled like some small permits, but it wasn't a big old job.
Right.
So we meet with an architect, and again, at this point, we've never worked with an architect before. And he's like, it'd be really cool if you raise the ceilings. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's raise the ceilings. At the time, I didn't really know what that entailed. So we go through that. He puts together these plans for the super cool house. We go through this whole process. The city takes 6 months to get these permits and plans done, which I didn't know that was going to be the case.
Right.
And so we go out, project manager finds the contractor for us. Great. Work starts. I show up after demo's been started. I show up and the house is gone. Sticks. There's no ceiling.
And this has been almost 8 months, right? 8 months now?
Yeah, we're going on 8 months.
We drive 2 hours and I'm like,
it sticks.
And all you see are the truss.
There's no seat. They tore the whole roof off because that's what you have to do to raise the roof. I had no idea that's what we were getting into.
Oh my God.
So long story, not so short. That project took a full 2 years. I don't remember what our budget was.
You were still doing software development in the beginning. I was still a teacher. And we were dating and we got engaged probably a year in.
I think our budget was $150,000 maybe.
You bought it for $600.
We bought it for $405,000. $405,000, I think.
You guys don't even
I think the wholesale I got for $390. He made $15,000. Great. We were going to spend $150. We were going to sell it for like $800 or something. Sounds like a great deal. Yep. We ended up putting well over $400,000 in just the renovation costs. Oh. Not to mention the holding cost when you hold a property for 2 years. Oh. And so as I was racking up the bills, I was looking at this. I was like, I might lose $300,000 here. Like this is like we're going to be into it for at least $800, and then it kept going. We're going to be into this for at least $1 million. We're going to be into this for $1.1 million. No house in the street or in the neighborhood ever sold for more than $800,000.
$800,000.
So I basically move out there. I'm a software developer, so I can work somewhat remotely. I still had to show up in the office occasionally, but I ended up going out there almost all the time. I lived under a patio cover on an air mattress, just to manage it up. But yeah, and then somewhere along the way, my project manager, he disappeared.
He became the project manager.
I became the project manager.
He lived in motels, like bed bugs. Yeah. I would drive on my weekends, like Friday after school, just shoot there because I was like, I can do this. I'm gonna help. Like we would take rock, I'd move rock. I'm like, I'm doing it. He doesn't do the manual labor, and I'm like, I'm doing it. I was sweat, not as much sweat equity. I was like, no, because we didn't know what to do flipping. We didn't want to we'd hire people, but can we justify that much? I could do it, but the time it took me, it was horrific. I was planning a wedding. I can't believe we even went through the wedding. Like our wedding.
Oh, you guys still had the wedding?
So I was planning it. His sister was like my planner, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know if the wedding's happening. Probably about 2 or 3 times. I'm like, I might leave him. Like, I threw my engagement ring at him.
Me at that flip. Yeah.
He lived out there. He looked like there's a picture. It's horrible. Anyways, it was so bad.
I look homeless because I like not showering.
It was like
I have this picture in my head.
He's looking over with beard, and it's like dirty. I'm like, who's this like 6-year-old man at our house? Like, what's going on? Anyways, it was the best pre-marriage counseling we could have ever done. The hardest time of our life. But
So and then we designed a killer house.
Insane.
The place
we kept it.
Is super cool. Yeah, we wish we could have kept it. We ended up listing it for 1.1 million, which is a little bit above our break even. I think our break even was actually, I know what our break even was. It's $1,048,500 was our break even on that first property in a neighborhood where houses sell for $800,000. We interviewed a number of agents, and I got multiple agents that told me it's an $800,000 house, maybe $850,000 or something. I'm like, okay, those aren't my agents, because if they don't believe in it, there's no way we're getting it. And we meet one agent, Michael Slate. If you need an agent in Palm Springs, he's fantastic. Met him. He didn't believe in $1,048,500. I forget the number. Maybe it was at 9. But I was able to kind of convince him and sell him the dream.
Right.
And I believed that he was going to get us the highest price possible. So we hire him. We put it on the market at 1.1 million. I'm at my bachelor party, actually. So my bachelor party in Austin, Texas, a little bit before our wedding. And I get a call from him. He's like, hey, we got $1 million offer. Absolutely fantastic. And I go, Michael, my break even's $1,048,500. That's the lowest I'll take. And he goes, they're not going to go up to $1,048,500. This is like, $1 million is amazing. You need to take this. And I remember this very specifically on the phone. I say, Michael, I need $1,048,500. This isn't a negotiation. And I hung up. And he calls back later and says, they're going to do it. We get our break even on that property. If you don't factor in our gas money, which was a ton, I'm sure, we broke even on that property.
Wow.
But at this point, he also quit his job, though. So he quit his job because he needed to live out there. So we just we said, let's go, all in. And I think that's really important, is finding a partner that really will support you. Looking back, I'm like, what was I thinking? Right. But I didn't want to lose $300,000 getting into a marriage. That's not fun either. Right. So I always say, choose your hard. Which one's harder? For sure. So that's kind of where we're at. But he quit his job. And my teacher's salary.
I quit my job because of her. It was. Yeah. A lot of people ask us, when do you make the jump and stuff? And we were kind of forced into it because that house probably would have lost a lot more money if we didn't get it dialed in the way we did.
Done what you did.
But she was the one encouraging me, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Awesome. So if she were I'm scared, I don't know. No, you can't leave your job. You're making good money. I don't know if I would have done it or when I would have done it. And so she pushed me to do it. And that was a massive blessing for our lives. Mm-hmm. So thank you.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful. I love that. Well, and what's beautiful about it is how hard it was, right? Because most people buckle. Most people can't get through that hard, right? And they either break up or for some reason one gives up. And the fact that you guys continued, would you say that's why you're here today?
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Absolutely. That's the best real estate education you get is going through something like that. That was absolutely a massive education.
Well, you bought a deal that wasn't worth it, quit your job, moved to Palm Springs, and you guys are getting married. And how you don't have gray hairs by now is beyond me.
There's a few.
Dude, that is awesome. I did not know that. Yeah. I did not know that. What an incredible story. So that was a two-year run on that house. Were you flipping any other house in between?
No. His sister actually flipped one on the side.
Yeah, so my sister was my partner on this deal, and she got pregnant with twins during it.
Oh.
Yeah.
So she had to kind of back out. Yeah. She's like, I'm sorry, I can't go out there. She was, massive belly and twins. I mean, crazy. But she actually found a property through a realtor she was working with to buy her own house in San Clemente. And she actually flipped that house at the time and made us $30,000. So, I got $15,000. So that was kind of her way of paying me back. And so I was thankful for that. And that was helpful. But she did that. That was great.
That is awesome.
And then that was 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
What was her fourth one?
Culver City.
Oh yeah, we actually had other.
We did. I think
we did have.
We
other
started getting our projects,
yeah.
and so we had one in Palm Springs, Culver City.
Oh, Culver was doing the other Palm Springs, but anyways, we started. Yeah, we did that in San Antonio. Then from that point, we started kind of doing overlapping projects.
Yeah. So my salary was paying the bills as a teacher.
Okay.
And I was doing
what was that number?
Oh my gosh,
like
$57,000.
Wow.
So we were house hacking, right?
Yeah,
so our mortgage was getting paid for.
Yeah.
We just like really believed it. I don't know. It's so crazy. Sometimes when you don't analysis paralysis?
For
like
sure.
Sometimes when you don't know, it's kind of a blessing, and just like
it's true.
Trust yourself. Like don't. Just say you can do it. Mindset's huge.
Huge. Everything.
So
you quit your job as a teacher after Palm Springs?
No. So you quit your job in
2018.
And we were flipping houses. And I quit my job. I was doing it on the side. I remember like taking a lunch break from work and going up the street in Dana Point and like there's a house on the for sale, and I was just going there picking up leaves and stuff because I needed that house to sell. But no, I quit my job in 2019 because I was pregnant, had my babies, and we decided to say like, let's just do it together. Right. Because splitting profit, sometimes it can be, you have to do double the deals.
Absolutely.
So we just kind of said, let's just do it together.
Yeah. My sister had the twins.
And
so
she had baby. She was pretty busy. And so I quit my job in 2019 because I did have I was pregnant and my teacher's salary is paying for childcare. Yeah. So I was like, no, let's just do it. Yeah. So luckily we had been making money too on house flipping. Like we finally got our rhythm, we got our systems, and that
is awesome.
Yeah, I was finally like, let's do it. He's like, I need an assistant. I'm like, I'll be your assistant. I'll do it.
So you quit in 2019. When was the first boy born?
2019 in June.
That year.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you
quit. I was pregnant.
She took her maternity leave and then
quit. That is awesome. And then went straight full time into. You were still part time.
I was like,
involved.
Yeah. I think I was working, teaching, and then it was just real estate.
Weekends. Yeah.
Weekends at night, like anytime.
For some advice for those people that they have a job, right? Maybe they're in a similar situation that you guys were in, right? They're a little stuck and they don't know when to quit, how to quit, let alone just to see the light at the end of the tunnel. What's some advice you guys would give those that are in a job right now, but they want to do what you guys are doing?
So I definitely don't recommend quitting your job and then starting house flipping. I would definitely start house flipping on the side. It's something that can totally be done one flip at a time while you're doing it. I remember kind of being at my job and working at my flips, and one of my coworkers working on my flips, like on the side, doing some like closing docs and stuff. One of my coworkers kind of got interested. Like, hey, what are you doing? I kind of explained to him, and he thought that was super cool. But
you saved money though before you flipped.
We did, yeah. So we saved up a nest egg. I was making decent money as a software developer, and we saved up a nest egg. I don't remember what that amount was.
Find that number.
But you got to save up like, I would say at least 6 months of money in case. Because with house flipping, even today, house flipping money comes in waves.
Yeah.
Like we don't get paid for long periods of time sometime, and then it comes in and it's a big inflow, and that's great. But there's you need some cash to start. Cash can be helpful when it comes to doing some direct to seller marketing if you're gonna go that route. But I would start doing it on the side of your W-2, on the side of your job. Do it. If you have a desk job and you can squeeze a little work in during work, do that. Do it after hours. Do it on the weekends. And if you can do one, see if you can do two, and then just kind of figure out where that point is where if you can start making more money flipping houses than your W-2, or you're getting close to that point, I think that's the point you need to kind of think about.
I would also say partnering with people. It's so important. Huge. Like find someone that can like give you that other like 50% of the work. And whether it's to help you build your confidence in flipping, it can help build confidence. It can give you some funding. There's just so many other options. Someone has experience, find an investor, find someone in your area and reach out to them and say, hey, can I partner on a deal? I'll do sweat equity. I will do anything.
Right. Making mistakes is a great way to learn, but it's also time consuming. It's not free. I mean, it's free money wise, but not time wise. So if you can skip some of those mistakes by getting a little bit of education from someone who's already been through them, then that's awesome.
Shadowing, and then you can see what they do wrong or something, like they lose money. It's like, oh, wasn't me, but I learned.
I think that's one of the cool things that we're more involved with now that we weren't back then. I don't know if social media definitely wasn't as big back in 2015.
Right.
House flipping social media, real estate social media definitely wasn't as big. And I don't know when that started coming about, but it's here now. And so yeah, advice that I'd give now that wouldn't have been available when we were starting is get on social media and find people who are doing it and reach out to them, ask them questions.
Go to meetups, work for free.
Go to meetups, meet people, work for free. Yeah. And before I wouldn't have known who to go work for free for.
Yeah.
But now it's easy to find those people.
Yeah.
Search just search Instagram house flipper and you'll just get a list of people.
Yeah.
So
I love what you guys said about the reserves, because I know a lot of flippers that get into the industry, right? And they have a month, 2 months of reserves, right? And they think, or they buy a flip and they go, okay, I bought this flip. I'm now going to quit my job, because they think they're getting this money, right? When they're when they're done with the flip, only to realize that I'm actually losing money. I need to go get my job back, right? And I've seen that happen often. So what a good advice. And would you say 6 months? Would you say is that a good cushion?
I don't think that's a hard and fast rule, but I think that's...
It depends on your spending habits too.
Yeah.
Like look at yourself, like look at what's important to you. Nate and I, we don't like designer things I don't really care for.
Right.
Let's just pick your like poison. What is something important to you? We love traveling. We love being with our friends and just like that flexibility. So that's something we'll spend money on. But if you're grinding and the end result, like don't go on a vacation, don't buy the bag, don't get the house. Like you really have to figure out like where you're at on spending. Yeah. And then you can figure out if it's 6 months or a year or however long.
I'd say 6 months if you've done a proof of concept, if you've done some flips and don't buy a flip and you have 6 months reserves and quit before you've ever made any money flipping. Because your first one, you're going to go over budget and you're going to sell it for less than you thought. It's going to take longer to sell than you thought.
With some contractors.
And that's just how it goes. And house flips, like the last few years have been selling super fast. Timelines were real short. But in general, outside of this COVID market, 6 months is a pretty typical timeline. 3 months of renovation, a couple months on market, a month for escrow. But that's a good, that's when things are going good and things don't always go that well.
Right. And what you said was so valuable. So valuable. I think enough people all you guys need to go back and listen to what you just said on having those reserves and understanding that portion of the business, because I don't think enough people realize that.
Patience. You got to be a little patient and have some goals, set your goals, make them a little small, make them smaller, little things you can hit, and then have your end goal as well. So you're like big dream, but be patient. Like don't just get super excited and jump in. Like there's analyzing, like paralysis of analyzing, but then there's also the people that are gung-ho and just jump in. Yeah. So you just have to be in this like little middle sweet spot.
Yeah. I always say, do not go all in if that's the last resort you have. If let's just say you're flipping a house, right? And you have a job, don't go all in if that's the last resort. I mean, like what you just said, keep the other job, see how this works. If you make some money, great, add that to your reserve bucket and then quit. It's interesting. I had this younger guy, he's like 19. He's now 20. Has a great job, quits, gets into flipping, loses 200 grand his first deal, loses 500 grand his second deal, had to file for bankruptcy. That's no fun, right? I want to talk about something. You guys are in Orange County, California. You guys are flipping in one of the most competitive markets in California.
Mm-hmm.
How?
Well, we realized after Palm Springs and going to LA and our life we didn't like driving. We didn't like doing all that stuff, different contractors and different project managers. It was not reliable. They weren't reliable. We can't just like drive out there every two hours.
There were days when we had projects in Palm Springs, Culver City, LA, and in Orange County. And so I would drive 2 hours of Palm Springs. I'd drive 2 hours from Palm Springs to LA and 2 hours from Palm Springs to Orange County. It's this big triangle. And I was wasting so much time and wear and tear on my car and gas. And you have to have different crews in each place, different agents. And it was a lot of, we had 5 or 6 projects going at that time, but we didn't make nearly as much money as we would have if we just focused on less projects in one place. Mm-hmm. And our quality of life was really terrible. I would say that was the reason we decided, was just quality of life. It wasn't worth it for us. And a lot of people say, how do you do it in Orange County? Like, it's so competitive. And why would you choose to do it in such a competitive market? But for us, we're just like, it's all about quality of life. We're going to figure it out because our quality of life matters. And if we make a little bit less money, then great. But I don't think that's the case. But yeah, we chose the quality of life over, dollars.
We also grew up here. Like I grew up in San Clemente. I grew up in Dana Point. He lived in San Juan. So we know this place. We know it's It's our sweet spot. This is where we can network with our agents.
Right.
People, what else? Like, it's just, we also started to do like 1 or 2 flips in Orange County. We're like, oh, this is working. It's working. Just, again, patience, just do it slowly. And we were copying the comps, like, right. So if something goes on the market, that's our comp. We're copying that design. And what we've kind of found is through the time of 8 years of doing this, I started like kind of enjoying design, like, and interior design never was a thing for me. I was like, oh, whatever, but I'm going to learn it. So I learned, and I started seeing some of these higher end design people doing some of these designs in Newport Beach and in these areas. And I'm like, I could do that. Like, we even hired a designer once, and we spent $10,000 on a project in Culver City, and we got their designs, and like, we got these light fixtures that were like $1,000. And we looked at each other and like, we can go on build.com. Like, I can get that same light fixture and source it and get it like for $300 or $200. So just with trial and error, started doing it. And then I started like pushing more of the design, like into different things. Like one flip, I'd be like, okay, this is my baby. I'm going to like do this really weird design thing or something I want to do for fun. And then the other ones, I'd be like, okay, here's a contractor guide of just like simple tiles, more boring, like do that. And so I got to do both. We found the ones that I was like putting more effort into the design, they were selling faster. People were willing to pay more money. So now we're just going like, we're going that way. Like, we're kind of setting ourselves apart. So we're trying to be a little bit more designer. And we have grown a following in Orange County. Agents have reached out to us. Social media, right? Social media, huge. We're actually reaching out to agents saying, hi, we're Taylor and Nate. Like, if you have a deal, reach out to us.
Huge.
So agents, our buyers are finding every single house we sell now.
The last 5 houses we bought, all our buyers find us on social media.
Because we tried to hide it in the beginning. We're like, no, we don't see it. Like before and afters. But now it's like a thing. So now we're committing to it. So now we're going to say it's like, this is Looney Real Estate's house. And people are reaching out to us now and saying, hey, can you do a house for us? We've considered, but
we had someone lose an offer, or someone made an offer on our house. They lost out to another buyer. And they found us on the internet and reached out to us and said, hey, would you help us find a house and then renovate it for us? Because there's not a lot of done stuff on the market. We want your design. And so will you help us find a house and then design it, and then we'll pay you to get that done. And so that's it's a pretty big compliment. But to piggyback on what Taylor said, we have so much familiarity with Orange County. We grew up here. We've put our time in kind of figuring out the market, and we figured out that Taylor's design specifically, not my design, Taylor's design goes for a premium here. And so that's kind of a little niche we've fallen into. That's awesome. And we're going that route. Like I wouldn't tell people to do that. As you know, you're starting the traditional advice is look at what the comps look like, and then whatever you want to sell for. If that comp sell for that, you want to design like that. But for us, we kind of have our own little niche. We design specific to our thing, and it works. Yeah,
again, I highly recommend not doing that, at least in the beginning, because you might think, oh, this door is so pretty. And then people are like, that is hideous. Like, you don't. Yeah. You're doing it to a consumer, like a bunch of people. It kind of has to go boring. We even started taking over our staging because my design was like, I put furniture in there that complements the design. So we started doing that, and also side hustles. Like, so we're talking about flipping. We flip houses, but we also do self-storage development. And then when our houses recently have been on the market, we had 5 houses on the market, and we were a little nervous. We're like, maybe we should slow it down because we didn't know what was happening with the market. We started staging, like I started side hustling. I was staging houses and then doing some design consultations. Huge. So it's just like finding income in other ways. Don't, just like you kind of said, you're like, don't just quit your job, like have something else on the side. For sure. Same in real estate, like do more things. Like we're going hard in social media now because we need to raise money now, and we're going to be creating a fund. So that's what we're doing. We're doing that, doing staging, like it's like hustling, and it's fun. Like, and when you're your own boss and you're motivated to do things, you get to pick and choose what you want to do and what you love, and it's not work anymore.
It's now passion. It's now fun. It's we were talking to John earlier. We have to have fun in this business, and especially in flipping houses, right? Totally. I want to touch on something. You guys said something. It sounds like you gave Orange County no other option. There was no other option for you guys to go, right? Absolutely. I think that's a great way to put it. I was going to say something along those lines that, we decided we were going to do it, and we just did it. Said, I'm not going anywhere else. This is where I'm going. I didn't know anyone that was saying, pick a big competitive market to go get started. There's a lot of, virtual wholesaling, do it in other markets, do it in a smaller market. But
we just decided that's what we're doing, and we figured it out.
But you started with a partnership.
Yeah.
So again, it started with a partnership.
Right.
And so we talk about our goals. Like, I think communication with any partner, but even being, especially working with your spouse, communication has to be huge. You have to have the same or similar purpose, core values. What's the end goal? What does our dream look like? What do we want to do in 5 years?
Right.
If he wants to be you need to be on the same page, right? So I wanted children. We have a little family. That's important to us. Our family's super important to us. I want to travel. So we knew investing somewhere far away, it wasn't going to be working out.
Yeah. One of the coolest perks of flipping in our backyard with our kids is that we drag our kids everywhere. Our kids are on job sites all the time. We have so many pictures of them just playing in the backyard of a job site while we're doing design. And it's been a cool experience to have them around all the time like that. And then
I think I know where you're going to go. Go.
Where am I going to go?
Go.
I don't know where you think I'm going to go, but then I think it's also super cool that they get to be around and have that experience. And when they grow up, hopefully look back fondly on their time on the job site and have some familiarity with real estate, and one day, become little real estate investors.
100%.
Yeah, he wants them to work for him. Or all of us. That'd be fun.
That's what I remember as a kid. I remember going to my dad's office. The familiarity was there. And those were the best times. So
totally.
Let's talk about first off, I want to compliment Taylor's Dream House, the house you guys did, because there was a major difference in design on that house. It was, Tarek did one 3 doors up, right? And I noticed the design wasn't the same, but the concept on how you designed it, because they went above and beyond. Yeah. So did you guys. Yeah. And I want to touch on this because not all markets you would do that in. No. Right? Because you wouldn't do that in San Bernardino, would you? No. But knowing the market that you're in is pretty important. Yeah. And I say that because I know flippers in Orange County who don't do that. Yeah. And they should be doing that. Right. And then I know flippers in San Bernardino, Fontana area who go above and beyond. Right. And I know, and they're not, but you can only push the price so much in Fontana. Right. It's a track home. You can only go so far, where this house on the cliff, you can put a different value to it. Oh, yeah. So knowing your market is really important, but deciding that you're not leaving your market, I think, is the most important thing that I just got from you guys, which was huge. So for all of you guys that are listening, I've been out of state. It doesn't work. I have got on a plane. I've had to drive to Phoenix every day for 3 months straight to lose $250,000 for Kellyanne to yell at me every single day when I was leaving, right? Yeah. So you guys, it's not worth it. Palm Springs. For sure. It's not happening. So knowing that, right, that lesson was probably the biggest lesson, because now you guys knew we ain't going to Palm Springs. We're going to figure this shit out here, because that was horrible. We're not doing it. So for all of us, take a look at this is a good way to do it. Take a look at the population in your current where you live. Let's just say it's Orange County for an example, right? Population in Orange County, I don't know. Let's just say it was 2 million, 3 million, right? Take 0.1% of that. What is that? 30,000, 3,000? If you don't at least have 3,000 deals in that market, why are you going anywhere else? Yeah. You're talking about a 0.01%. If you can't get a 0.01%, why are we going anywhere else? Right. And I'm saying that because now I'm starting to realize that, right? We flip in Fontana, San Bernardino, more inland, right? And that's because the familiarity. I grew up there, right? It was a little different. Mm-hmm. I come here, I get intimidated. I don't know the area, right? I don't know some of the area. So it's interesting, but there's a lot to learn there, especially for those people that are in high markets that think that they need to go to low end markets. I wish I would have just started in Orange County, because going to San Bernardino is easy from Orange County. Going from San Bernardino to Orange County is not that easy. Yeah.
We, the profits bigger usually too. So we'll have one project compared to, because we're buying these houses for $1 million, right? Right. So if you're in a different, in Tennessee or something like that, Tennessee's getting a little higher now, but some places you're buying a house for $100,000, $200,000. You're hoping to people are making about, $20K on those flips. Right. With our renovations and flips, we've made $300,000 off of just one. So it's our energy and our time, me spending some extra time doing that design. I've chosen that's more important to me than doing And it's more fun. It's just more fun.
Versus doing
and we're
20
doing social
cookie cutters.
media. We're doing social media now, and the cookie cutters aren't really good for social media. They're boring.
Yeah, so they're beyond boring. No one wants to see
them. And we need that.
The floor is the same.
Yeah, everything's the same.
That's a great point, though. Putting your focus, with doing higher number deals, there's higher margins, but you also get to put your focus into less things.
So
you get to put your focus on people. We do sometimes 5-6 projects a year. That's not a big number. We talk to people doing, hundreds of deals, 20, 30 deals. But when you, multiply it by the sales price, it's enough money for us. But it really saves you some mental anguish,
Oh, for
You're
sure.
going to put your focus on that. And then we're taking a step further in commercial real estate. We're developing 120,000 square foot self-storage facilities. And honestly, the project management on that is easier than $1 million flip and a lot easier than a $300,000 flip, because you're working with bigger companies. We're working with national general contractors,
right?
And they're better run machines. They're more reliable. And so you get to just put, less stress.
You know, what's interesting. It's the risk. Not everybody wants to take that $1 million risk. Not everybody, like the storage units. How much?
We'll be all in for $17 million.
Okay. A $17 million risk. Like your average person is like, no, right? To buy a $45,000 house in Oklahoma, I'm in, right? I'll do that, right? But it's interesting. I had this conversation with this guy named Troy. He owns multiple companies in Orange County. I'm actually going to have him on the show. He goes a lifetime. He's one of the few billionaires in Orange County. And one thing that Troy, Troy was talking about this.
Zucolato?
He goes, what was that?
Troy Zucolato?
I don't know his last name.
Okay. Maybe it's,
I just don't
I think
know
it's
the
him. I think it's is he really big,
Troy
blonde? Yeah. Troy.
Yeah.
Zucolato.
Yeah.
He was like Mr.
He's won multiple times.
Won multiple, yeah.
Yeah. You guys know who he is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to school with his daughter.
You're kidding.
No.
He is beyond awesome.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Very, very kind
Every
family.
morning he spends 20 minutes, talks to me at the gym. He's like, what do you want to know? Like he is the
That's
most
awesome.
openest
He's
book.
awesome.
So anyway, him and I were talking and he goes, dude, it's just all risk. He goes, the only difference between those that are making $1 million, $2 million, $3 million per deal, I think he sold a company for, God knows how much. Yeah. He goes, the only difference is I chose to take the risk to do something that the average person wouldn't do. And when I look at flips, that's the thing. Most people, it's very easy for me to buy a $250,000 flip. No big deal. Yeah. $1 million flip, your mind could start to play tricks with you, right? But it's that risk.
It does.
I know, we're risky people. I mean, I think you can tell from our
But you got to risk it to win big.
You got to get risk it for the biscuit. Let's go.
I'm
like, what's our life going to be? Like, I want to build an empire. We want to build an empire.
Exactly.
We want to do these things. We have big dreams. We have big goals. Like, you only live once.
You only live once. Go big or go home.
And like community, get friends, get support, figure all that out.
Huge.
Yeah.
Storage units.
Yeah.
Where? How?
Storage, not in our backyard.
Okay.
I would love to build. I would love to build in Orange County.
California.
That's
not a lot of
land available to develop on, and the buildings are super expensive. So we currently have 3 facilities. 3 facilities in different stages. One in North Dakota, Williston, North Dakota, which is middle of nowhere.
Isn't it freezing?
And it gets very freezing. You don't want to go out there, so don't go visit that. And it's an oil town. So won't go into that. But second facility, Delenco, New Jersey. We took a 75,000 square foot
Pinata manufacturer.
Not Pinata manufacturer. That was another deal. This one was a costume gallery warehouse. So it was a little bit of 2-story office, a little bit of warehouse. We took the warehouse. We added a second floor mezzanine. So we made it 100,000 square feet in the end, filled it full of storage units. And that one is currently in lease-up mode right now. So we're almost 50% full there.
How many units?
That's about 850 units.
It's all self-storage?
All self-storage. Almost all self-storage. And then we have a little bit of covered boat and RV parking.
I know, right? Well, like multifamily, you don't have to deal with tenants. You don't have to deal with people.
No, it's
it's easy to build. You're not building kitchens. You're not doing all this stuff. So you're just putting up some walls and
yeah. I've noticed we're building in Havasu right now.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm noticing how easy it is compared to everything else that we've been doing. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And then I look at the pro forma and the net return. I'm like, I'll do 3 of these. Just quit flipping. Well, I'm inspired about those storage units that you guys are doing. And I would love to, if you guys go out there, I'd love to go with you and see. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That is one thing, like going back to the travel. He's starting to travel now to all these places. I'm like, well, I thought we were in traveling places. So I'm going to be joining him on those like little, he's going, I mean, on Monday.
Monday.
Yes, last night he's like, hey, I'm leaving Monday to Tuesday. I'm like, hey, I didn't marry a salesman that like goes travel to the United States. I'm coming and the babies are coming, but not this time.
So on Monday, I go to Rhode Island to check out a 200,000 square foot mill that we might convert to self-storage. So
that is awesome.
So those are cool and so the reason we're not doing those in our backyard is because of the contractor we work with enables that to happen. We're not working with our typical, contractors down here in Orange County. We work with Arco Murray, one of the largest national general contractors.
Right.
And they're a really well-oiled machine and they'll go anywhere except we were just looking at a deal in Alaska and they just told me they wouldn't go to Alaska. So I guess they don't go to Alaska. They don't do Hawaii in the contiguous US, but they'll go there and they'll figure it out. And they give us what's called a GMAX contract. So a guaranteed maximum contract, meaning there's no surprises. So for the majority of the items on there, they give us a guaranteed price. If surprises come up, they eat it.
Ooh,
They build in some, they're going to build in a little more profit on it. It's an expensive contract, but we know that price works. We know the price isn't going to change.
Yeah.
And they got a great team of people. We've met a bunch of people from the company. We have a great rep we love there. And they're just a well-oiled machine. And we're about to break ground in Vegas on this 120,000 square foot facility.
Oh, that's right.
And I'm not too stressed about it. Like in a year, we're going to have a self-storage facility, and it's a massive undertaking.
That is so cool.
But the stress of it's going to be a lot less than some of our house flips.
100%.
But the way you got into it, right, is
so how we got into it is Andrew and Taylor were talking about this earlier. Is we got into it by partnering. We were a money partner for someone that had done a number of self-storage facilities and was looking for someone to be the money partner on a deal. So they brought us a deal. And at first we were kind of like self-storage. Like, I don't know, we don't do self-storage. I don't know how this works.
You took the risk.
And we turned him down. We turned him down the first time. He brought us a second deal later on. And we ended up deciding to do it. And we had no idea what we were doing. The pro forma looked great. The pro forma
we didn't know what we were doing. We just wanted to do it.
The pro forma looked great. The building was reasonable. And we looked at, he gave us a little bit of an education, a very quick education in self-storage, and we thought it looked good. But man, knowing what I know now about self-storage, I knew absolutely nothing back then. But we went through that process. He handled a lot of the work, but then we got involved as things went along, met a lot of his contacts, and now we're very well versed in self-storage. We've been to 1 million self-storage conferences. I've listened to AJ Osborne's podcast on self-storage. If you want to learn about self-storage, highly recommend checking out AJ.
The man.
AJ Osborne's great.
AJ Osborne.
Yeah.
Read plenty of books on self-storage. Now know a ton of people in self-storage, learn from them. And so, just all through, being a money partner on a deal initially. And now we have a full-fledged company that's developing self-storage facilities. We're planning to find 3 deals this year. We want to do 4 next year and 5 the year after that. We just hired a full-time analyst. All he does is look at self-storage listings all day. And within 2 weeks of hiring him, he found us our next deal in Rhode Island that I'm going to on Monday.
I love it. I love it, dude.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, that's inspiring, guys.
Yeah.
That is inspiring. For those people that are like, well, I want to get into self-storage too, right? Because, I mean, who was it that did at Ryan's event?
That was AJ Osborne.
That's AJ Osborne.
Yeah. Oh, no, but there was a girl too who was doing...
buying businesses?
RV parks.
Oh, yes. Heather
Blankenship.
Yeah. She was pretty cool.
Oh, it's the shiny... You got to be careful of the shiny object
that's what
syndrome.
I wanted to bring up.
I'm like...
That's why I wanted to talk about that. Because some people hear storage units, and because I know the way I was, you guys been, you're young, you're ambitious, you want to do anything, right? You hear self-storage. What is some advice for those people that are flipping, but they hear about these shiny objects like self-storage, like RV parks, like mobile parks? What's your advice there? Because you guys partnered, you did it the right way, right?
Yeah, my advice is
Same thing,
focus on one thing to start till you really get it figured out. Focus if you're flipping right now, focus on your flipping. Get that to be a well-oiled machine. Get your systems and processes in place, and get people in place that can take on the bulk of that work, so that your time's freed up, and then you can go look at other ventures. So good. But I think the best way to do that is go partner with someone.
So
get involved. We're going to be doing a ton of development here soon, and we're going to be looking for investment partners. And so, get involved with someone like us that's doing a lot of development, that knows what they're doing. Get involved and learn along the way. That's kind of one thing we're doing now is we're telling everyone that wants to get into storage. I've taught I've taught a ton of people how to look for storage deals. And everyone's like, oh, I'm excited about self-storage. Like, teach me. And so I spend the time to teach them. They send me like 3 deals. I say, no, here's why. Right. And then I never hear from them again. They give up. And so first of all, don't give up, but then go through that process. And yeah, if I've told everyone, if they find us a deal, I'll give them 5% of the deal just for finding us the deal.
Right.
And keep you involved the entire way and learn the whole process and bring me 1, maybe bring me 2, and then go do it on your own.
5% of a $20 million building and
is a lot.
Facility.
Yeah, it's big.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you for clearing that up. Because people are probably like 5%.
Yeah. What? 5%? Yeah.
That is awesome. I love that. So I want to shift gears a little bit. I want to talk about something that I don't think enough people talk about.
Yeah.
And
let's go. We're real. We're raw. Like we'll tell you, we're so honest.
I know, and that's why we're going to have this conversation.
All right,
because you guys are a husband and wife in a very stressful, competitive. I mean, I know I go home with the headache, so you guys both go home with headaches.
Oh yeah.
How do you guys still stay sane? How do you have a loving, passionate relationship and still do what we're doing? There's a lot to learn from you two. I'm inspired by it, and I know the audience is going to be inspired by it based on what they learn right now. So, what'd you say? I'm
going to start by saying first, it's not easy, and it takes a lot of work. I'll let you take it from there. I think.
It's really hard. I'm out.
I can keep going.
Go for it. Keep going. I want to hear this.
It's not easy. It takes a lot of work, and I don't think either. I won't speak for Taylor. I didn't know how much work it was going to be going into it, working together, and then also just marriage in general. Marriage isn't easy, and so we've, for a long time, spent a lot of time working on our business. We work all the time. We work 24/7. We quit our 9 to 5 to work 24/7. Right. We're working nights. We're working weekends. And we've gone through tough times. And what we realized is that through the help of therapy, and I think we'll go into that more in a second, is that we need to take that same effort that we put into our business and we got to put it into our marriage on a daily basis.
So good.
You got to invest time. You got to invest money. And you got to, so we started therapy, how long ago? A little while ago. And I think that's been
6 months ago,
a game changer for us. Being able to be in a room with a third party who's there that has your best interests in mind to kind of moderate some difficult discussions has been really, really valuable for us. And so that helped us get through some hard times, and we still go and pay a lot of money for it. Even when times are good, when we think everything's fine, we still go because we're doing maintenance. We're doing maintenance. We don't want to get into tough times.
We're being proactive.
So having open communication and occasionally with the help of a third party is super valuable.
Yeah. It was really hard. So we started doing it together. We're passionate about it. It's great. And it's so weird because you hear so many people, sometimes people are like, you need balance, right? And we don't talk about work at dinner. Like, don't do these. People tell you what to do, and you got to just make something of your own. Like, love that. I'm like, Nate, it says this person said, don't talk about it at work, or like, don't talk about it at dinner. Like, don't talk about work. Let's try it. He's like, okay, but I really love work, and then we're passionate about it. We always end up. What we do together. We go to dinner and we start talking about deals and like, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I just need to. Yeah. I took someone else's advice and I'm like, you know what? We like doing it. Like, whatever. Do your own thing. We hit so many hard times. It ebbs and flows. Marriage is hard. Just like a partnership, marriage is hard. We were getting to a point where we were making a lot of money. Like, we were doing really good at work. But you got to figure out, sometimes you're going to be doing great work, but your relationship's going to be low. You need to fill the bucket in that low place. And we were really low. And it got to the point where Nate's like, I'm like, I think we need to go to therapy. Like, I had been going, so Marriage 365, I would highly recommend. It's a monthly thing online that's a couple, and they will do little videos, nitpick. Relationships have always been important to me. Both of our families we come from divorced parents, multiple divorces, even within our parents. And I just want our babies to grow up and see a healthy relationship, and our parents are phenomenal. Luckily both sides have they're all best friends. Everyone goes to Thanksgiving, and we have step family. It's wonderful and beautiful, but we're really trying to just make our relationship work for our babies. And we know if we get a divorce, you're going to remarry and you're probably going to get, it's not going to fix anything. But one thing is you need to focus on yourself. So before, like your relationship, if it's hard, you need to be the best person you can be for yourself in order to be able to, contribute to a partnership. And when you add babies, it's even harder. But so we hit a hard place and I said, I think we need to go to therapy. Nate was like, what are you talking about? We're fine. And I was like, okay, like, I just want to go like proactive, like, let's go. He loves it now. I laugh so hard. He comes out smiling, giggling. He's like, let's go on a date. And I'm like, I'm so confused right now. Like, so spending the money on therapy, highly recommend. We even posted about it. And like our parents were like, don't share that. Don't do that. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? No, we're going to be honest and real and raw. And the amount of people that reached out to us saying like, one, thank you. Oh my gosh, I can relate. Like, I appreciate it. How do you find a good therapist? Like all these things. Like,
I was a quick tip on finding a good therapist. If you're thinking about getting a therapist, is number one, find someone you can get some reviews on. Ideally, we actually went through Yelp to start, or if you have someone that see if you can get a referral. But go to that first session and keep a super open mind and figure out if that person's right for you, because it's super important to have the right therapist. I've heard stories of people getting therapists that actually ultimately kind of tear people apart. Yeah. Luckily, we were 1-for-1 on ours, and
no, we had gone to a different one before.
That's right. We have done it before.
Springs, we did it.
We have done it before. So this most recent time, we found someone who we both felt had both of our best interests in mind, because you don't want them to pick sides.
Yeah.
So it's super important to find the right one who's going to be solution oriented too, not just talk about the problems.
They don't talk about the past.
Like ours actually, like we bring up problems and he's like, okay, like I hear you. Here, like let's talk about how to move forward. Kind of like he doesn't dwell on the bad stuff.
Yeah, it's also funny. We realize like sometimes when we're arguing or fighting, he's like, we're saying the same thing. We're on the same page. I'm just saying it differently, and he's saying it differently. So and good. Having a moderator, he's like, you mean you guys are saying the same thing? You realize that, right? And we're like, well, why didn't you say that earlier? Like, what? Last night I was like upset about it. So I would say therapy is huge, and date night. You need a date night. Yeah. Continue to date your spouse. Like women get dressed up, men get dressed up. Don't start like pretending like you don't know. Like don't fall into boringness. And there's different times when you have babies. Like totally understand, or you're going through something. Like it is gonna ebb and flow. Just showing up every day.
It's okay to schedule date night. Some people are like, well, I don't want to schedule it. That's boring. Like, just schedule it and do it. Like, treat it like a business. Like, put it on the calendar.
Yep. Yeah, we have it on the calendar. We love it. And money. So when we're talking about money, therapy, or going to dinner, like, sure, it's expensive, but a divorce is way more expensive. Way more expensive. So therapy, date night, and open communication. We're so honest with each other. Like, I'll be like, hey, babe, I need this. You need that. Like, please, like, this is bugging me. And we just really try to not get upset at each other. And it's hard. Like, don't get me wrong. We try. Like, he can say something and I'm like, and I'm like, all right, thank you for being honest. You're right. Okay, how are we going to fix this? What are our solutions? And funny. Committing to each other and just being like, I think I would always, in past dates, I would try to like make them break up with me. I don't know I'd be like, hey, like get in a fight. And he's like, you'd break up. And I'm like, totally wasn't going to work. He's like, I'm not leaving. You can do whatever you want. You're never getting rid of me. I'm going to be with you. And it made me feel like it's just safety. Like I just wanted safe. Yeah. He's safe. He's like my everything. And like, he's like, I'm never leaving. Like you could do anything and everything. And I'm like, okay. Fine. So just awesome. Having that and like showing the ugly, being honest, say sorry, like forgiveness is huge.
She was talking about how I've told her I'm never going to leave her. I tell her that that's a decision I'm never going to make. It takes a decision to end a relationship. Right. And if I decide that I'm not going to make that decision, then I'm going to keep working towards it. That's the key, is just
in anything.
Do it. Work towards it. Put effort in.
Everything.
Well, the market, you chose not to leave.
Yeah. The market, everything. So just commit. So
I love that.
Yeah, we do that. Having the same goals, I would say, is huge. Like if I was like, hey, don't do that. Don't quit your job. You can't quit your job. Don't do it. Like that, maybe he wouldn't fit. He would resent me. He would have you have to be on the same page and trust each other. And trust me, sometimes you're gonna be like, no, you're wrong. Like this isn't gonna work.
Yeah, you gotta listen. Each partner is gonna have needs, and you're not always gonna like them. but people are different and people have different needs, and you need to listen and encourage an environment where your spouse or your significant other can share those needs and listen and work towards a solution where you can meet those.
And when it comes to business, like we complement each other. And I think even if you're not working with your spouse, your partner, I'm an extrovert, he's an introvert.
Right.
He's the numbers guy. I'm like the creative one that says like, hey, let's push this ARB. We can do it. And he's like, what? No, we can't. I'm like, yes, we can. And like, so but I need the numbers guy. I need someone behind me to like also bring me down. Not bring me down. No, just like level me off.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Compliment, like just having that and like one thing is it is weird because like I'm like, why didn't you say thank you? Like if we're working and he's like, dude, I would like I wouldn't do that in a regular partnership. Like it's just it is what it is. Right. So there's something like that. I'm like, babe, I need like a little bit more, like just being honest. I need more like thank yous. I need more hugs or like I'm like I'm like, hey, don't talk to me like that. He's like, my partner wouldn't talk to me like that, like or my coworker, and I'm like, all right, fine. Like so you kind of have to like adjust.
For sure. I love that. I love how you guys got on the same page.
Yeah.
But what's cool is also, and this is important, you understand your masculine and feminine energies, right?
Yeah.
Like you understand it and you understand it, even though you guys are so different. Like it's like my wife and I.
Yeah.
I'm the extrovert and my wife is more introvert, right? We go somewhere, I'm the one out talking to people and she's just kind of like, as you guys have noticed.
Yeah, right? I love it.
And it's cool because like I look at us and it's, right?
Totally.
But what's even deeper, and this is important, you guys have found a way to put your ego aside, and you guys have found a way to match each other's love languages and not let what everyone else thinks that you should do affect your current relationship.
Totally.
And right now in this world, everybody lets Instagram, Facebook, social media, their friends, their daughter, their husband, or their dog, their mom, their dad, dictate how they're going to run their relationships. And what I love is you guys chose not to listen to anybody. And you chose to, yes, you went to therapy, which was huge. Most people can't even do that. But you chose to say, that's what they do. Let's figure out what works for us. Right. And so key, guys. Kudos to the both of you. There are so many people that, you just get caught up in what everybody else has to say versus what do we want? What do we have to say? Right. And then the fact that how you guys just carry your energies is cool. And I want to touch on that because, especially for women, like Taylor, you could tell she's a driver, right? But she knows how to put on her woman hat. And you guys may have seen this. There's a lot of women that they're drivers and they want to get deals done, but they don't know how to put on their woman hat. They get stuck in that masculine energy.
That's one of Taylor's best traits.
Is
absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah, because we work together and we love working together, super motivated, but she's, I don't know how to describe it, but she puts on that woman hat, like you said, and that is important in the marriage side of things for me.
You don't feel like you're dating a man.
Right. Yeah.
I love the feminine energy. Like I love being a woman. Like I think even like you can be you are a badass. I am a badass. And just having that feminine energy, that doesn't make me like lower. Like I can beat a deal just being feminine and nice and 100%. Sweet. We go to like deals and, a lot of the cash buyers, like we're coming to people's homes and saying, hi, like I love your home. Like, can we, let's do a deal. Like, I am able to I'm able to be with them and I have a lot of empathy. So like, for example, like some of these, they're in hard times. They're hoarders or they're going through a divorce. They're going through like really sad times where they don't want to put their house on the market. And I'm able to use my energy and come in there and they like, I become friends with them. Like Absolutely. I've offered to, pack up their things. I've offered to do stuff and help them because I also want to just genuinely help them.
Yep.
But being feminine stuff, like Nate doesn't necessarily, he comes in, here's your money, like take it. And I'm like, what? No, like, like date them. And I just think, we're able, it's a good thing that we have both of that. But going back to it, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. Like that was my dream. I want to be a teacher. I want babies. Like I decided I want to be a stay-at-home mom. And I was like, oh yeah, like let's flip houses and make money. And then I found like, I never want to stop. Like I didn't want to be a complete stay-at-home mom. I wanted to be out and about and get dressed up and have my babies. I wanted my babies on the job site. We actually had to stop bringing the babies on the job site because they both became toddlers and one started running that way, one started running this way. And then I was like, there's power tools and now this is like bad. Whereas before when I could carry them and like one was running around, it was fine. So I did get help. And also that's a huge thing, get help. Like it's okay to say, I need help. Right. And I was struggling. I honestly was struggling with like, I should be a stay-at-home mom and be with my babies because that's why I had them. but I do enjoy this other part of me where I want to be like an investor in real estate. And it took some time, but I was like, I need to also show my babies, like, let's go. Like, I need to show my babies how to work hard.
How to be a badass.
How to be a badass. I need to show them. And we do love our vacations. And I think one of my end goals, like next year, is I want to go to Europe for a month. Like, I want to be able to take my babies and go to Europe and live there for a month. In the end goal, I want to, I don't know if Nate does too. Like in the future, I want to live in different cities like New York for 3 months and have our babies there. Like, I think quality time with my children is more important than me staying home and doing dishes or whatever I'm doing.
So good.
But going back to feminine and like masculine, I think I want Nate to be the man in the house.
Yeah.
Like,
huge.
I don't want to be the man.
Huge.
And I do sometimes start getting that energy, and sometimes I'm like, and then I start feeling fights, and Nate's like, Taylor, and I'm like, okay, you're right. Like, I do trust you. And it goes to me being scared is when I start trying to be the man, let me do the hard work. Like, let me peel this stuff. Like, let's go. Like, and then I'm not happy. I'm full of anxiety and I'm stressed out. And I know I married him for a reason, and I've trusted him and we've trusted each other this whole process. So like, I just have to. And it's not like checking myself. It's like, what do I naturally want to do? I naturally want to let him do some of the crazier, like aggressive stuff, that manly stuff.
Right.
I don't want to be the man. I want to be a woman. I want it to be taken on dates too. And like, it's important to balance.
As it should be. And women, you have to pay attention to this because there are relationships I know where the woman is driving the income, but she's also feeling like she needs to drive the whole relationship. And you're not the man, right? There's only one set of there's only one set of balls that goes to sleep at night in the bed, right? And we just figure out who's wearing the balls.
There was a book that I read because I was a technical recruiter in the corporate world, and it was Amazon Women. What was it? It was something. It was like, don't be an Amazon woman. And it basically is like, once you get that energy, they don't want that. No. They want no man wants that. Well, you don't want him, or maybe you do want him to be feminine. It doesn't matter. Feminine, masculine, it doesn't matter. You choose whatever you want. We don't judge. Like, I don't, it is what it is. You have to figure out, maybe they do like the woman being more masculine, and that's fine. If they like it, great. I just know it doesn't work for us. Yeah.
Well, it's not our true nature if we really think about it. It's not our true nature. It's the reason why there are so many men that are becoming not men. It's because the women are becoming so men that they don't allow the men to become men. So the men just naturally revert back to the lower south, which is not what we're here to do. And so hopefully this world changes, right?
I agree.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard in today's society with
it's different.
Where everyone's at.
It's different for sure.
Yeah, Taylor does a great job of letting me be the man. But like she said, it occasionally does, when she's, hard at work, and sometimes things move to one side or the other, but she's good at, recognizing that and bringing that back. And as a man, to encourage that, it's important to make your family and your wife feel safe.
Huge.
Safety is huge.
Yep.
And so as a man, I really believe that you need to provide that safety. And sometimes when she has a little more masculine energy, it's because I failed in that respect. So I try to do a better job of recognizing that and doing what I need to do to allow her to move more to the feminine side.
So good.
That's so true.
Now you got a bunch of gems on this podcast today, brother.
She's amazing.
I love it. What's next, guys? What's next? You guys, so you're building storage units, right? You got an awesome marriage, right? Kids are growing. You're flipping houses. What's next?
Right now, we're actually focusing on systems and processes in our company. So our house flipping and stuff, we want to scale, but in order to scale, you have to do the boring, like Nate would say, do the boring shit.
Yep.
Do your systems, do your processes, write it all out. Because when we have hired people and they're like, we're like, okay, go. And they're like, what do you mean go? Like what? And so we have to we're trying to get ourselves completely out of, working on the company, not in the company.
Yeah, I would say what's next is we've got a house flipping company. We've got a self-storage. We have a commercial real estate development company. It's not necessarily storage.
Yeah,
it's storage for now. Yeah. So what's next is we really work in our businesses a lot. We're very active and sometimes to a fault. And so what's next is getting those systems and processes in place to a point where we can do what she's talking about, go to different cities and not have to be there not only for the company to continue to run, but also to continue to grow without us.
So good. Automation and systemization is what I'm hearing.
And social media. We're going real hard at social
you guys
media.
Did a phenomenal job, by the way. I love it.
And I don't, also the followers, like, don't worry about your follower thing. The people and the community and the people behind you is what's important.
Yep.
We have about like 5,000, 6,000, but those people, like, we love them.
They love us.
Yeah. They're organic. Yeah. They're like, hey, we want to fund your deals. We want to buy this house. We want to do all those things. So just social media is huge. We're going to be building a fund. So that's the next thing. Yeah. We're learning how to build a fund.
That's the goal, is creating a fund to develop commercial real estate out of.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, today was so awesome. Any parting words that you want to leave the audience with, rather that be motivation, inspiration, or maybe just some personal helpful tips?
I would say choose your hard. Choose your hard. It's hard to, you got to choose. It's hard to go work out, but it's also hard to be overweight. So you got to choose your hard. Like, if you're not feeling confident in your body, like, that's hard too. So choose your hard.
So good.
I like it.
Nate?
We'll leave with that.
Thank you for having us.
You guys,
thank
you so much.
We appreciate it.
For those that want to follow you, how do they find you guys?
At Looney Real Estate on Instagram and just about everywhere else on the internet.
Yeah.
So, at Looney Real Estate.
Let's do some deals.
How do you use
Looney, like Looney Tunes. That's the best way to remember it.
Looney Real Estate. You guys check them out on social media. Today was an absolute honor, guys. Thank you so much. Beyond inspired by you too.
Thanks so much, Adrian.
See you guys soon.